It was a very dreadful situation that I witnessed while I was visiting the camp. Children are dying every day. Women are obviously very weak.
Ali Abdi Dahir has been keeping close tabs on the Badbado displacement camp in Mogadishu. He's a director for the local Shabelle media. Over the last few months, he's watched a terrible but predicted drought in East Africa become a famine. Droughts are common in this region, and reasonable preparations should help to avert famine. The problem in Somalia is there's been no formal response plan and limited aid. Over the last 90 days in Somalia, an estimated 29,000 children under the age of 5 have died because of malnutrition. Millions are struggling to find adequate food, water, and medical care.
We don't see it as a natural disaster. This is a negligence of, it's obviously the outcome of 20 years of instability, lowliness, lack of infrastructure, lack of security, lack of external support.
So how did a predicted drought become a humanitarian disaster? Droughts are basically sustained periods of scarce moisture and rain. In an arid region like East Africa, that means crops fail and livestock die from lack of water. Famines can follow when there isn't a backup plan, enough food and nutrition to compensate for the failure of the local resource system. This failure has spurred many Somalis to walk for weeks to reach displacement camps in Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia's capital, Mogadishu.
It didn't have to come to this. That's the unfortunate thing. It did not have to be what it is today.
Faustine Wabwire is a native of Kenya and a foreign policy analyst for the NGO Bread for the World. She says, technically speaking, climate change is one factor.
Drought cycles in these regions are becoming much shorter. So when you look back in the history of these countries, they've been experiencing drought that came maybe between 5 to 7 years. But now the cycles have shortened so much that every 2 to 3 years, there's drought.
Another reason for the famine, Islamic militant groups like Al-Shabaab have blocked aid from reaching southern Somalia. They've attacked relief workers, laid landmines, and commandeered resources. Some donor governments have withheld assistance the last few years in fear that it might wind up in the hands of Al-Shabaab. But perhaps the biggest reason for the famine, says Faustine Wabwire, is poor planning and infrastructure. Simple things cause big problems. A lack of adequate roads in Somalia makes it hard to transport crops so that people can make money and access basic resources. A lack of education makes it hard for people to diversify their work and make more money. And the list goes on.
We need to seriously rethink the need to invest in long-term solutions. We need to increase investments in agriculture to build community resiliences so they can cope better in times like this.
For Time Video, this is Jesse Hardman.